Okay, guys, let's check the homework. That'll be it. I will post the link to the quiz tomorrow morning, hopefully by like 8 or 9 o'clock by the time this class would be happening. And it'll be a translation quiz on two of these sentences. I might put a third spot translation in there, but just do your best on it and spend some time on it, please. It probably won't be counted against you. Sometimes I just like to see where people are at with translating. Um, okay. So yeah, Google Forms is kind of weird for a translation quiz, but it should work out. And also heads up, I won't be able to stream on Tuesday. I found out I'm hall monitoring for the PSAT that the ninth graders are going to come in to take. So I might make like a short video for that day, but I won't be able to stream again until Wednesday. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So after y'all take your quiz tomorrow, you're done with Latin for the week. You can start your long weekend. But let's get into it. And guys, you don't have to have your mics on, but please stop me if you have questions, and especially if I don't know, something about these sentences look really familiar. But I think it's just because I've taught them like 1.5 times this year already, so that's why. But I almost feel like I like went over one of them with y'all before. But sometimes you just end up with similar sentences. So let me know if everything seems like um, I don't know. Just yeah, if there's any issues, let me know. But okay, Aequis viris imperium tenentibus ut omnes dicunt res publica valebit. Like, isn't this really familiar? At least this part right here. I feel like we saw something like this, but maybe we just spot translated it in class. But anyway, this first part is a ablative absolute. When I'm seeing these long ISs, that makes me think ablative or dative. So that's an ablative or dative noun phrase. It must be ablative. Imperium maybe throws me off, but then I see tenentibus, and I'm like, oh, ibis, that's ablative or dative too. And this looks to be a participle, so this must be an ablative absolute with a present active participle, not perfect passive. So it's not like with the men having been held or something. It would be with the fair men holding command. Well, why did it do that? Jeez. Um, I guess the rest of it is very straightforward, but this is a little weird. I don't think we've seen oot, and we probably won't see it too much until next year. Yeah, like just as they like everyone says, just as you can translate omnes as everyone if you want, because just as all say sounds very awkward. But yeah, the important thing is this is a present active participle, and because it's a present active participle ablative absolute, it's one of those that has its own little direct object with the column ablative men participling the direct object, if that makes sense at all. Just as everyone says, the republic will be strong. Malabit is future tense, so the rest of it, besides that weird ut omnes decunt part, is very easy. Let's see if I pick this one on. Didn't already? Okay, yeah. So y'all know how this works. Y'all did fine on the last translation quiz. If I pick this one for the thing tomorrow, I would just underline tenentibus and I'd say, is it present active or perfect passive? And you would say present active because it's present active. Yeah, these participles have third declension endings. Remember, that's a big tip off that it's the present active. It's the verbing ones. And other than that, what else would I ask? Probably that's it. I mean, maybe the case of Imperium. It's accusative. It's direct object. I probably wouldn't ask the skill function, just the case. All right, number two. No one stopped me, so I guess we haven't necessarily done all of these before somehow, and I made a huge fluke. Omnes cives istum imperatorum timebant, qui expellendis erat. All right. Oh, this one's like really easy. And then we get a little relative clause at the end, though I guess the relative clause does contain some new grammar that anyway, we'll get to it. So all citizens, all right, that's the subject, straightforward enough. Glossing the words on the left corner, by the way, if you didn't notice. All the citizens, feared or were fearing that commander. So that is like a chapter 10 style like sentence. That is almost too straightforward. But then they throw on this relative clause that spices things up a little bit. So remember, qui quad, starts off relative clauses, and you'll translate it as who or which, depending on what it's referring to. But here I think it's going to be referring to the commander or the emperor. So it'll be who. They feared the emperor who, and then we get our new grammar here. Expellendus is from expello, expellere to banish, or like literally expel. And this thing is a gerundive, but it's so that's the fancy word for future passive, but it also has a sumessa form. So it's a full-on passive periphrastic, which is good because otherwise, like, why would this sentence be relevant to us in chapter 24? Otherwise, so it'd be like who. So this is weird. I don't know what I did. I feel like I ignored this on the next slide. If it was expellendus est, it would just be who must be banished. That's all it would be. But since it's a ra, it's supposed to be like more in the past. So like who had to be banished? What did I say? Yeah, okay. No. I didn't do that. Had to be banished. Yeah. But if you said must, like if you said must, honestly, it's like fine. I think I talked about it before in class. Like must to me doesn't imply well, I guess it does. So if you say must, that means it hasn't happened. Where if you said had to be, that means like it already happened. So yeah, okay. I would if I pick this one, all I would care about is I would underline this and what would I even say to prompt this? I want you to know that, or I want to know that you know it's a passive periphrastic, but it's one of those things where like what I make a multiple choice. Like, is this A passive periphrastic or B ablative absolute? I guess that's what it'll be. But I mean, that's really easy, right? It doesn't really look like our other concept this chapter, the ablative absolute. So you would say passive periphrastic, and maybe I'd ask the tense. Would I? Because I don't even know how to describe. I don't know if we should say this is a pluperfect periphrastic, passive periphrastic, or just an imperfect. I won't pick this one. I'm not gonna pick it. Yeah. I don't know. I'll brainstorm on how to talk about or ask about passive periphrastics. If I change my mind at the end, I'll tell you. Okay, this one's more straightforward. Tirano, superato. Maybe it's just like we don't have enough vocab because, again, deja vu for the sentence. But no one's stopping me, and I see that some of y'all are here, so I'm not just talking to myself. Yes, okay. So with the tyrant having been overcome, right? We should be pretty used to these at this point. That's all that's going on here. This is a perfect passive participle, unlike the present active one here with the ablatives verbing or participling the blah, blah, blah. This is with the ablative having been participled. So with the tyrant having been overcome, and then the rest of the sentence is pretty easy. It's got some vocab maybe. So yeah, you don't need the having been. You could just say like with the tyrant overcome, with the tyrant conquered, the citizens and even servants or slaves, something about liberty and rights, received perfect tense, liberty and rights. Okay. So yeah, they're throwing us these softballs. They're giving us like easy sentences that happen to have new ablative absolutes or passive periphrastics kind of shoved into them. Yeah. And I guess there's some new vocabulary. I always hate this word a little bit because I don't like shorter words when they're slightly weird. And third declension neuter nouns, I guess, are kind of weird. Ius iuris means right or law. So if you think of the I as a J, you can think of words like judicial, maybe justice. All right. So if I pick this one, I'd underline this thing. You would say it is perfect passive, not present active. So it's kind of like the same as the last translation quiz where I still just want to know that you guys can identify the participles, basically. Yep. Maybe I'd ask the tense of recaperant. I don't know. That was perfect. Sometimes I have to, it depends on like how many points the quiz needs to be. Every once in a while, it's like, oh, I got 9 points here. I need like a tenth. So I'll just ask the tense like a random verb. But in a way that is warranted. Okay, gentibus latinis victis Roma totem Italium tenera cupivit. So this part's not familiar, but again, something about the victis. I think we've seen this participle, or I brought it up because it's a really tricky one, where I just can't expect people to have been able to identify that. But yeah, I think it did come up like last week or something. It is from Winco Winkera. Winco Winkera wiki victus, to conquer. And it's crazy because vivo, vivere, vixi, victus, the word to live also has this identical participle. But I don't think it would really show up as a perfect part. Like, what would that mean? Like having been lived? But anyway, like this is Gaius Gentibus clan. So this is just with the Latin clans having been conquered. So it's very, very formulaic, right? With the tyrant having been overcome, with the Latin clans having been conquered. There you go. And then the rest of it's easy. Rome desired, perfect tense, cupio, cupire, cupivi, to hold. Remember, cupio takes an infinitive. We have desidero to desire, but that just like you when you like desire like a direct object. But cupio is to desire to do something, like to do a second verb. Desire to hold all of Italy. I'm gonna make Italy sound kind of genitive, but that's the best way I can think of to say that. Like the entire Italy sounds weird, so all of Italy is fine. And if I pick this one, victus is perfect passive, not present active. Okay, is this one? Oh, okay. Yeah, all right, all right. Is this the last one? Because I was like, if I ruled out the other one that had the passive periphrastic, then maybe I can use this one. Maybe I can use this one. There's like one more, I guess, after that. All right, this is just slavery or servitude as a subject. Then something about all types, omnis generis. Hominibus is ablative or dative along with liberis, like something like with or by free men. Per totem mundum. I forgot when y'all got mundus, but it means world. So like through the whole world, purse, through takes an accusative. And oprimenda through me offers second, but opprima, opprimer, oppressi to suppress. Yeah. And it is passive periphrastic. It's not just a gerundive, it's a gerundive plus sum essa. And this one's just good old like present tense, so we can use must here. So slavery, and I've already given it away, but omnis generis, that omnis could have been nominative or genitive, but generis is the genitive ending of genus generis. And be careful, we got gens gentis clan and genus generis type or kind. That's kind of awful. But slavery of all types, basically. That's the first three words. And then skip to your verb at the end. Must be suppressed. And then what? Well, hominibus, we said, could have been ablative or dative. I would normally continue to think it's ablative, but since it's a passive periphrastic, it must be a dative of agent. So it's like by free men through the whole world, through the entire world. Yeah, and that's our dative of agent. It functions just like an ablative of agent, but I guess in some declensions the dative will be different, which is kind of weird. Like often the dative and the ablative are identical, so it's almost like it's just I don't know, it's a whole case for means and agents and objects of preps and indirect objects. What if the ablative and the dative would just like were the same case? That'd be weird. You could probably make it work. If I pick this one, I will focus on this dude. And what would I say? I still don't know. Oh no, I'd ask about the dative agent. Okay, I won't ask. Like I won't be like, is this a passive periphrastic or not? No, I'd say, is this an indirect object, an ablative agent, or a dative of agent? And hopefully you can remember that it's dative just because of the context of it's a sentence with a passive periphrastic. All right, with the bad wound having been received. I mean, that's getting so formulaic at this point. We know how that works, right? And it seems like more commonly we're having the perfect passive participle, not the present active participles we saw in the first sentence. Like that seems more rare at this point. Where was that one? Oh well, totally lost that one that had the tenentibus. Anyway, yeah, so that seems more common. With the bad wound having been received. Aliquis, I think sometimes we might forget, is like someone or anyone, someone, blah, blah, blah. Excepit is this new word. It means to take out. Took out the hand of a soldier. Militus is from miles militus, which is third declension, so that's the genitive. From the fire immediately. And yet again, they are referencing the weird story about this dude named Scaevola in the early days of the Roman kingdom, who just like lit his hand on fire in front of an enemy to freak him out so that he would be let go. It's really random. Any questions, guys? I can see you're kind of going Michaelis today, which is totally fine. But any questions before we wrap it up? I guess I could pick this one, and yeah, I would ask if it's perfect passive or present active. But it seems like I am going to pick this one because of the passive periphrastic and dative of agent in it. And then the other ones are all kind of fair game, except for that one that I said wasn't this one. So it'll be two. It'll be two, and I'll be asking about participles and a dative of agent. And that'll be about it. And y'all can have some bonus if you want. And if there are no questions, I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, e-learning, and take that you can start your amazing 3-day weekend really quickly. All right, bye guys. I'll talk to y'all on Wednesday unless you need to chat me for something. So see you. Wait. Now it's over.